Okay, this is the fourth chapter in NCERT class 9 science. So this is the fourth chapter, structure of atom. So we'll try to see what are the topics are there and what are the concepts we can learn. We'll see. So first here they have given atoms and molecules are the fundamental building blocks of matter. Means whatever matter you take, basically there are 6 types of matter, but in ninth class we are going to learn 3 types: solids, liquids, as well as gases. These 3 types of matter made up of small particles. Those particles we can call it as atoms. So without atoms we cannot get solid, we cannot get liquid, we cannot get gases. From this simply we can tell atoms and molecules are very fundamental, very small, as well as they are fundamental building blocks. So if you want to construct a building, we will be placing bricks, right? Same like that, atoms can be considered as bricks for a building. Then the existence of different kinds of matter is due to different atoms constituting them. So we have different types of matter: solids we have, liquids we have, gases we have. Why there is differentiation? Because atoms are different. Different atoms will constitute different types of matter. Now an atom is divisible and consists of subatomic particles. Basically in textbook you will be getting like atom is indivisible. That is the meaning of the atom. That is a abbreviation of the atom. Yeah, they told it. They told that atom is indivisible, but atom we can divide it. Divide in the sense we can see through the atom. Because of seeing through the atom only, we can able to observe subatomic particles. There are 3 subatomic particles in the atom. They are electrons, which are negatively charged particles, protons, which are positively charged particles, and neutrons, which are neutrally charged particles. How can we tell? There are electrons, there are protons, there are neutrons, because of seeing through the atom. So seeing through the atom is possible, but it is not possible to divide the nucleus. That is the thing you have to understand. You see, this is the atom, and main part of the atom is nucleus, which is central part. Nucleus contains protons and neutrons, so that only protons and neutrons collectively known as nucleons. That is another thing. It is not possible to cut the nucleus. It is not possible to divide the protons and neutrons, but it is possible to look through the atom. That is a concept you should understand. Then they're talking about charged particles in matter. Only we have 3 types of charged particles. The atom is mainly made up of 3 subatomic particles. They are electrons, protons, and neutrons. Here, electron, proton, neutron. The atom is neutral. Why atom is neutral? In the sense because it has equal number of negatively and positively charged particles. For example, if I take hydrogen atomic number 1, what is the meaning of that atomic number 1? That is quite simple. Hydrogen, here there will be electrons, protons. Anyhow neutrons are 0 because neutral charge. Leave this one. Electrons are negatively charged, protons are positively charged. You see atomic number 1, hydrogen, represents 1 electron and 1 proton. Electron means minus charge, proton means plus charge. Minus 1 plus 1 is equal to 0. Atomic number 2, helium, 2 represents 2 electrons, 2 protons, electron charge minus, proton charge plus, minus 2 plus 2, 0. Atomic number 3, lithium, 3 represents, atomic number 3 represents electron count as well as proton count. There are 3 electrons, 3 protons, electron charge minus, proton charge plus, minus 3 plus 3, 0. Same like that, 118 elements we have. Whatever element you want, you can take it. There are equal number of electrons, equal number of protons, equal number of negatively and positively charged particles. For example, 8 oxygen, atomic number 8 is representing 8 electrons, 8 protons, electron charge minus, proton charge plus, minus 8 plus 8, again it is 0. From this is so important point. Electrically neutral, the atom is electrically neutral. Every atom, 118 atoms are electrically neutral. What is the reason? They will ask you. You can tell it as because it has equal number of electrons as well as equal number of protons. That is a concept you need to understand. Then let us try to understand characteristics of electrons, protons, neutrons. Here, property. First of all, electron, if you observe, we are talking only regarding electron. So who discovered electron? It is J.J. Thomson. He was the first scientist who contributed regarding atomic structure, and we will try to understand what is the structure proposed by J.J. Thomson and what are the concepts are present in J.J. Thomson model that we will see. protons discovered by E. Goldstein. Maximum students will be telling that it is Rutherford. No, Rutherford said about nucleus, not about proton. E. Goldstein said about proton. And neutron discovered by James Chadwick. James Chadwick. And location where that electron is present. Electron is present around the nucleus. Here you can observe the diagram where electrons will be present around the nucleus and it will be revolving around the nucleus like planets revolving around the sun. And protons and neutrons, they are present in nucleus. So middle part of the atom is nucleus, where we can find nucleus contains protons and neutrons, so that only they are known as nucleons. For example, people who are present in India, Indians, right? People who are present in Japan, Japanese. People who are present in China, Chinese. People who are present in America, Americans. Same like that. Protons and neutrons are present in nucleus, so that they are known as nucleons. And while coming to symbol, electron can be represented with E, proton can be represented with P, neutron can be represented with an all or small case. While coming to its nature, electrons are negatively charged, protons are positively charged, neutrons are neutrally charged. And while coming to relative charge, because of negative we are mentioning it as -1, because of positive we are mentioning it as +1, because of neutral it is 0. And while coming to the charge, this is important concept you need to understand, because same thing we can learn again in 10th class electricity chapter. In your class 10, chapter number 12, electricity, where again we will be getting this point. Charge of electron is -1.602 into 10 to the power of -19. C stands for Coulomb. That is the SI unit of charge. And while coming to equal, you see proton and electron, proton carry same charge, but here you can observe electron, it is minus because it is negatively charged. Proton you can find it as plus because it is positively charged. It is minus 1.602 into 10 power -19 Coulomb proton, plus 1.602 into 10 to the power of -19 Coulomb. And while coming to neutron, its charge is 0. And while coming to mass, what is the mass? You see, proton has mass of 1 unit, neutron has mass of 1 unit, but while coming to electron, it is 1 by 1838. Means electrons are very negligible. Means mass of 1838 electrons is equal to mass of 1 proton. You see how much high it is. Protons and neutrons will have greater mass when compared to electrons. Electrons are so negligible, and negligible by means of mass. Next, absolute mass. Of course, this point is not necessary for your grade 9. So until here, at least you can remember. Then let us try to understand structure of the atom. The first structure proposed by J.J. Thomson, John Joseph Thomson. So first, according to that Thomson, an atom consists of positively charged sphere. Means this entire sphere, you can observe, it is made up of positive. It is like a gray in color. Na? That gray color means entire atom is made up of positively charged. Every positive charge is surrounded in the sphere. Means entire sphere itself, it is positive. And electrons are embedded in it. So entire sphere is positive sphere, but electrons are embedded. There is no particular there is no particular pattern, there is no particular arrangement for the electrons. The negative and positive charges are equal in magnitude. So this guy told negative charged particles and positive charged particles magnitude will be equal, he said. So that atom is whole electrically neutral. Why it is neutral? Because it has equal number of negatively charged particles, equal number of positively charged particles. So electrically atom will be neutral, he said. And also he said one thing, that entire sphere is completely filled with a positive charge, but while coming to negative charges, electrons, they are embedded. They are embedded like seeds in watermelon. So that this model is also known as watermelon model or plum pudding model. If you take Christmas cake, some plum cake, if you observe, if you can observe cherries, that cherries, there is no particular pattern for those cherries. Na? So it is arranged as it is. There is no particular pattern, there is no particular frequency, something like that. Sequence will not be there. Same like that, all electrons. So here one electron, here one electron, like that. There is no particular pattern for the arrangement of electron. So this is known as watermelon model. After J.J. Thomson, Rutherford came and he did alpha ray scattering experiment. So what is that alpha ray scattering experiment? You see, he took first of all gold foil. Why he took gold foil? In the sense, gold is most malleable metal. Gold is most malleable metal, and it has only 1,000 atoms thickness. Just 1,000 atoms thickness. That much malleable metal it is. In 10th class also, metals and non-metals chapter we learn. There we can observe gold is the metal which can be ductile. Most ductile metal is gold. Just by taking 1 gram of gold, we can make 2 kilometer big wire. You see, 2 kilometer big wire, we can make it by just taking 1 gram of gold. That much ductile, that much malleable metal it is. So that only he has chosen gold as a foil. Then what he did? So he took alpha ray. This experiment is known as alpha ray scattering experiment. First of all, let us try to understand what is meant by alpha ray. We know atomic number 2, which is helium. Helium has 2 electrons, 2 protons, and 2 neutrons. Now, if you remove 2 electrons from the helium, there will be only protons and neutrons. Anyhow, neutron charge is 0, leave it. What is the charged particles left? That is proton. So simply to say, alpha ray is nothing but positively charged helium atom. You have to remember. Alpha ray is nothing but positively charged helium atom. How we got positively charged means just by removing negatively charged particles. If you remove all negative, there will be left only positive now, so that it becomes positive charged atom. Now what he did, he took gold foil and he tried to pass all alpha rays. Now let me tell you this. Okay, so he took one gold foil here and he took one alpha ray gun where he has passed alpha ray particles. So all are atoms, now positively charged atoms. And he observed few things. What are the things he observed? You see, most of the alpha ray particles passed straight like this. Most of the alpha ray passed straight without any deviation. Here also you can observe this line passed straight, this line passed straight, this one passed straight. So it passed straight. And a few alpha ray particles got deviated like this, and got deviated here. And here you can observe this one deviated like this. And this alpha ray particle deviated like this. A few. Most of the alpha rays passed without any deviation. You see, most of the alpha ray passed without deviation. A few alpha rays got deviated, but very few, maybe 1 in 1,000 alpha ray particle got exactly deflected back. So here you can observe this one. This ray went straight and touched the nucleus and got reflected back. This is the only one you can observe which exactly bounced back. Remaining all rays are maximum it went straight. It has passed through the gold foil, and a few rays got deviated. Right. He observed this one, and here you see. Let me. Okay. Most of the fast moving alpha particles passed straight through the gold foil without any deviation. Without any deviation. Next, here this point. Some of the alpha particles were deflected by small angles. A few got deflected with small angles like this. 1 out of every 12,000 particles, you see, one particle out of 12,000 particles appeared to rebound exactly back. So from this, he drawn few conclusions. Let us try to understand. Number 1, most of the space inside the atom is empty. If you take an atom, what Rutherford said, if you take an atom, most of the space inside the atom is empty because most of the alpha particles passed through the gold foil without getting deflected. Without any deflection, all rays got passed. So that he concluded, Rutherford concluded that most of the atom is empty. Nothing is there inside the atom. And second point, very few particles were deflected from their path, indicating that positively charged atom occupies very little space. Here you have to understand one thing, that as Rutherford said, sorry, this one, J.J. Thomson, what he said? He said entire, here you can observe, atom consists of positively charged sphere, means entire sphere is positive, stated by Thomson. Now you see, if entire sphere is positive, let us consider this entire sphere is positive, as he said. Now, if you send alpha particle like this, what is alpha particle? Alpha particle is positive particle only. Na? In 6th class, we have learned positive charge and positive charge, both will be repelled. Definitely it should repel. Like charges should repel. Now, if this is positive, that alpha ray after coming here, that should get deflect. Another alpha particle that should get deflect. Another alpha particle that should get deflect. Another alpha particle that means every alpha particle should get deflected. If you send 1000 alpha particles, all 1000 alpha particles should get deflect. Why? Because alpha particles are positive, and as per Thomson, entire atom is positive. Positive should repel, because there is repulsion. Na? All like charges should repel. Na? But is that thing happening? No. What is happening here? Most of the fast moving alpha particle passed straight. From this he concluded, as J.J. Thomson stated, atom is not positive. Atom is not completely filled with positive charges. It is not a positive sphere, nothing. He decided a very few particles deflected from their path, indicating that positive charge of the atom occupies very little space, not entire space. Not entire space, not total space, very little space. What is that space? It is middle part, which is known as nucleus. So nucleus was identified, discovered by Rutherford. Here most of the students will make mistake. Proton was discovered by Rutherford, they will tell. No, nucleus. Nucleus discovered by Rutherford. That is the thing you have to understand. Next point here. A very small fraction of alpha particle was deflected by 180 degree. Means if there is nucleus, if alpha particle is touching the nucleus, it is bouncing back. Why? This nucleus is positive. This alpha particle is positive. Now positive is repelling. That's what should happen. Indicating that all the positive charge and mass of the gold atom are concentrated in a very small volume within the atom. That is also center part. In center only, those positive charged particles are staying. He also calculated the radius of the nucleus, that is 10 power 5 times less than the radius of the atom. Means if the radius of the atom, which is very big, and nucleus is so small, that much big atom is and that much empty atom is, and nucleus is so small, and he concluded most of the atom is empty and it is not filled with positive charges. Positive charges are filled only at the center. He has given name for the center as nucleus, and he came up with the radius of the nucleus, which is 10 power 5 times less than 10 power 5 means 1 2 3 4 5, this much time. I mean 1 lakh times less than the radius of the atom. And there are few features. Number one, there is a positive charged center. So which regarding what we are talking about, there is a positive charged center in an atom called nucleus. So nucleus is the positive charged center present in the atom. Nearly all the mass, yes, entire mass. So here we have discussed it now. Mass, proton and neutron has 1 unit, but while coming to electron, 1 by 1838 means 1838 electron mass. If you take, it should become 1 proton mass. That much negligible mass, electron mass. So totally we will consider proton and neutron mass only. And if you can remember chapter 3, where we have discussed mass number. So if 2 is the atomic number of helium, what is the mass number 4? How can we tell? It has, though it has 2 electrons, 2 protons, 2 neutrons, we are taking mass number as protons and neutrons now. If you can remember, proton count and neutron count collectively known as mass count. Why? Because proton is representing 1 unit and neutron is representing 1 unit. So nucleus has protons and neutrons, so that entire mass will be present at the center. The electrons revolve around the nucleus in circular path like planets revolving around the sun. He came up with that concept. The size of the nucleus is very small as compared to the size of the atom. Size of the atom is big. Size of the nucleus is small, not small, very small, very small. So these are the points, these are the futures, these are the explanations given by Rutherford. And not only points, not only futures, we have drawbacks also. Just learn about only one drawback. What is the drawback? The revolution of the electron in circular orbit is not expected to be stable. So what he's saying, if you take nucleus, if there is electron, if electron is revolving around the nucleus, it is not stable. There is no continuous velocity, it seems. There is no constant velocity, it seems. Electron is not stable, it seems. Any particle in the circular orbit would undergo acceleration. So he said, if a particle is in circular motion, it will go with some acceleration. During acceleration, charged particle, not charged particle, electrons are negatively charged particles, na, would radiate energy, it seems. Who said? Rutherford said. So when electrons are revolving, when it is moving with acceleration, it radiates some energy, it seems, electrons. Okay, after radiating energy, what will happen? That revolving electron would lose energy, it seems. After losing energy, what will happen? Finally fall into the nucleus. So you see, as per Rutherford, he said there will be electron. That electron will be revolving. While it is revolving with acceleration. When there is acceleration, there will be radiation of energy. When energy is radiated, automatically it will be losing its energy. After losing its energy, all electrons will go and fall in the nucleus. Guys, if electrons are falling in the nucleus, total atom would be collapsed. Entire atom should be collapsed. Nothing should remain, nothing. Is that happening? No. So from this we can tell Rutherford's atomic model got failure. Basically, J.J. Thomson atomic model also failure. Why? Because after conducting alpha ray scattering experiment, so here I have told, if you can remember, this one. If atom is positive, then all alpha rays should get scattered. How many alpha rays you are sending? All alpha rays should be scattered. Is that scattering? No. So from this, what we can conclude? J.J. Thomson atomic model is failure. Then Rutherford, he told few points and he came up with one conclusion that atom, while it is revolving, it will be losing energy, and after losing energy, it falls in the nucleus. If it is falling in the nucleus, total atom will be collapsed. Is that happening? No, no atom is collapsing. Every matter is stable. Everything is stable. We are holding pen, we are holding book, we are seeing mobile. If atoms are falling in the nucleus, entire world should be disappeared, na? So this is also failure. And came Niels Bohr. Then we are going to see Niels Bohr atomic model, and this is the model what we are following now. Okay, let us see a few points from the Niels Bohr atomic model. Number one, only certain special orbits known as discrete orbits of electrons are allowed inside the atom. Means every atom has particular orbit, exact levels of the orbit. There will be stationary orbits. Every orbit will have some energy, that is discrete orbits. Then while revolving in discrete orbits, what? Electrons. Electrons, while revolving in discrete orbits, the electrons do not radiate energy. That is a point given by the Niels Bohr. No electron will be releasing energy. No electron will radiate energy while it is revolving in the orbit. And these orbits are shells. You can call these one as orbits, or you can call it as shells, known as energy levels. So we can call first orbit as, here you can see, first orbit as first energy level, second orbit as second energy level, third one as third energy level, fourth one as fourth energy level, like that. And also these orbits also known as shells, and these orbits are shells represented by letters K, L, M, N, and so on, are numbers with 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Guys, here you see, basically if you take how many maximum number of orbits you can find in the atom, in the sense, if you take 118th element, if you take 118th element, what is the orbit count means? You can take 7 orbits, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 orbits you can get for 118th element. For 119th element, 8th orbit will get. For 120th element, if they discover in future, If they discover 119th and 120th, 119th and 120th element, if they discover, it will get 8 orbits. And you see, it is starting with K, na? K, L, M, N. What about 5? Yes, it is K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R. We can write. No need to stop there. Our teachers will be telling, na, K, L, M, N, done. They will stop. 1, 2, 3, 4, done. They will stop. Yes, we have 5th orbit, we have 6th orbit, we have 7th, 8th. Okay, until now we have only 118 elements. For 118th element, we have 7 orbits. But if they in future, if they discover 119th, there will be 8th orbit and there will be 120th element also, 9th orbit you can find. Fine. You see, this is the atom where we can find positively charged sphere, which is known as nucleus, and there are orbits. First orbit, you can see this first orbit, second orbit, third orbit, fourth orbit, and here they have given few numbers, guys. 2, 8, 18, 32. What is that? They are, how are electrons distributed in different orbits? In first orbit, they are representing 2, means in first orbit there are 2 electrons. In second orbit, they have represented 8 electrons. In third orbit, 18 electrons. In fourth orbit, 32 electrons. How come? We'll see that. The distribution of electrons into different orbits of an atom was suggested by Bohr and Bury. Bohr and Bury model we will call. The following rules are followed for writing number of electrons in the different energy levels. There are few rules. What are those rules? Let us see. Number 1. The maximum number of electrons present in a shell is given with a formula 2n square, where n is the orbit number. And that energy level indicates 1, 2, 3. And also, guys, this 2n square formula is applicable only up to 4th orbit. It is not applicable from 5. I'll tell you why. It is applicable only up to 4. Okay. Now you see, what is the first orbit? We are calling it as K shell. Na? K shell, in the sense, what is the formula how to use? 2n square. So 2 into n, it is first orbit. So in place of n, we can substitute 1. It becomes 1 square, which is equal to 2 into 1 square. 1 square is 1. 2 into 1, that is 2. So in first orbit, there are 2 electrons. In second orbit, same formula we have to use, that is 2 into n square. Now n becomes 2 because second orbit, na? 2 square. Now 2 into 2 square is 4. 4 2s, 8 electrons in second orbit. Third orbit, same 2n square. 2 into n means it is third orbit. 3 square. 2 into 3 square. 3 square is 9. 9 2s, 18 electrons in third orbit. Fourth orbit, same 2 into n square, which is 2 into 4 square. 2 into 4 square, 4 for 16. 16 2s, 32 electrons. It is not, and so on. It is wrong because it is applicable up to 4th orbit. From 5, what happens? You see, first orbit, second orbit, third orbit, fourth orbit, fifth orbit, sixth orbit, seventh orbit, eighth orbit. I told you there will be 8 orbits, na? Last 120th element. Now in first orbit, how many electrons we got? 2. First orbit, 2 electrons. In second orbit, how many electrons? 8. In third orbit, how many electrons? They are saying 18. So we got, by using formula, 18. Fourth orbit, how much we got? 32. Now fifth orbit, it will repeat from back. Like fifth orbit 32, sixth orbit 18 electrons, seventh orbit 8 electrons, eighth orbit 2 electrons. 2, 8, 18, 32, 32, 18, 2, 8, 8, 2, something like that. Okay. So you have to understand. So it is applicable only up to 4 orbits. And the maximum number of electrons that can be accommodated in the outermost orbit is 8. So whatever outermost orbit you are taking, 8 electron only should be present, and that concept is known as octet rule. 8 represents octa. So octopus, octagon, we are calling the octopus, which has 8 legs, 8 hands or 8 legs, and octagon, which has 8 sides. Octa represents 8. Now octet rule. Next, electrons are not accommodated in given shell unless the inner shells are filled. Means first orbit there should be 2 electrons. After filling these 2 electrons, then only electrons should be transferred to second orbit, and in second orbit, after filling of 8 electrons, that should be transferred to third orbit, like that. So we should not transfer like 1 electron in first orbit and 9 electrons in second orbit. No, it is not possible. That is stepwise manner. Now let us try to understand what is the shells and everything. So first shell is nothing but is the closest to the nucleus. Yes, the first shell, it is very near to the nucleus and can hold maximum 2 electrons, because why? 2 into n square, 2 into, in place of n we can substitute 1 2 into 1 square, that is 2 into 1, which is equal to 2 electrons. So first orbit can accommodate only 2 electrons, is always filled first. So whatever it may be, the atom, maybe atomic number 50, maybe 80, maybe 100, first orbit should be filled, and then electron should move to second orbit. And you see second shell or second orbit can hold maximum 8 electrons, 2 into n square, 2n square, where 2 into second orbit, which is 2 into 2 2 is 4, which is equal to 8. It can hold, it can accommodate only 8. And the third and subsequent cells, the penultimate shells cannot have more than 18 electrons. When the third shell has got 8 electrons, next to 2 electrons are filled in fourth, and then again third shell. Why? Because electronic configuration will be writing na 1s2, 2s2, 2p6. This Molars diagram I'll explain in the next lecture. 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6, and then 4s2 and 3d10. Here you see the same thing they are told. When third shell has got 8 electrons, you see this one, third shell got 8 electrons, 2 plus 6, 8 electrons. Next to 2 electrons are filled in fourth shell. You see, next to 2 electrons are filled in fourth shell, and then again third shell, and then again this third shell filled, it has 18 electrons. So now third shell has 10, 6 plus 2 8, 10 plus 8 18. So first electron filled in first orbit, then it will enter into the second orbit. After second orbit is filled, it will enter into the third orbit, where only 8 electrons are filled in third orbit, and then extra 2 electron filled in fourth, and fourth orbit is filled, it will enter into the 3D. Okay. Next, we'll try to understand what is meant by valency. An atom is stable if it has duplet or octet. Duplet is only for helium, octet. So what are the stability elements? Helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon, radon. These are the 6 stability elements, and in this only helium will follow duplet, dual role, duplet, duo, nothing but 2. Only helium has 2 electrons in outermost orbit, and remaining neon, argon, krypton, xenon, radon will have 8 electrons in outermost orbit, and 8 electron configuration nothing but octet configuration. A duplet or octet configuration is also known as noble gas structure. All these are noble gases, all these are stability elements, all these are zero group elements or noble gases configuration. Atoms react in order to have noble gas structure. So in 10th class, we are going to learn metals and non-metals, and in carbon and compounds. Why we are getting, of course, in third chapter also we might have discussed, right? Why molecules are formed? Because to get stable, to attain stability only, molecules are formed. Okay. So how it will form in the sense, it will compare its atomic number with stability number. Simple. Stability numbers: helium atomic number 2, neon atomic number 10, argon atomic number 18, krypton atomic number 36, xenon atomic number 54, radon atomic number 86. All 118 elements. Out of 118 elements, 6 elements are stable, remaining 112 elements are unstable. All 112 elements will be trying to become stable. That is the concept. Now, so remaining concepts we'll try to see in the next lecture. In next lecture, we'll try to understand what is meant by cation formation, what is meant by anion formation, and the formation of anions, formation of cations, what is meant by atomic number, mass number, and then we'll try to understand what is isotope, isobars, so such that, and also at last we will see average atomic masses. We can able to finish the chapter. So we'll try to meet in next lecture. That's it in this lecture.